Hi, my name is Gerald Benjamin. Thanks for taking a moment to watch this video and give me an opportunity to explain my company, explain why we reached out to you in the first place, and the value that we believe that we can bring. The reason I put this video together was because I know that there's a lot of misconceptions, rumors out there about what a consulting firm can do. Usually, we have this huge fear that if we go in with one of those guys, they're just going to give us information we can read from a book. They'll stay in our company for a year and a half, drain all of our resources, and at the end of the day, we may know a couple things, but those are a few things we could have found out on our own, and we didn't need to go through all of that. So, in a lot of cases, you'd be right if that's what you thought, but I wanted to just put something together so that you could at least hear my voice, you could at least hear what we're about, what we do, why we do it, and then make the decision for yourself. And if we can help you, then we definitely want to help you. I've owned companies since 1993. I've owned 9 corporations, and what inspired Profit Gold and ProfitDRIVE, which got its start in 2004, was really me beating my head against the wall, trying to make my companies efficient. And what I mean by that is, I owned construction companies, I owned import companies, and we were good at what we did, just like you are with what you do. I knew what to do. That wasn't really a question. I knew how to build a house. I knew how to import products from Eastern Europe. I knew how to do all those things. That wasn't really the issue. The issue was becoming efficient at doing those things. Because I found that we were profitable as long as I was willing to put in the bulk of the heavy lifting. As long as I was really willing to put in the time and train and retrain and deal with all the fires that would arise from the myriads of employees that I had that were working for me and working out in the field and talking to the customers and keeping the accounts. And while we were effective, we just simply weren't efficient. And what really drove my desire to seek change in those early years of owning my company was I had a few good people always on my team, and I'm forever grateful for them. But what would happen is, one of them, after several years, got married and moved away. And then another one, you just had to terminate his employment, and he also moved to another part of the country. Those are things that we can't control. Those are things that just happen in the course of business. But what was really damaging was it was in those times that I realized what I didn't have together. I didn't have the written SOPs and the step-by-step documentation necessary for those positions. And so what ends up happening is that when that person left, all that knowledge was in their head, and they're sure they did the best they could to train the next person who also had absolutely no idea that they would instantly be promoted to this new position. But it was never the same because a lot of the performance was based upon the ethics of the actual person doing the work. We had written skeleton of what a job description was, but we never had the step-by-step, this is what you do, here's the accountability, here's the leadership that you need, as well as the training needed to maintain that. So what it meant for me was if I were to unexpectedly have to leave town for an unspecified period of time, or if I wasn't directly there to watch the day-to-day operations, we had a problem. And it would show up in our sales, it would show up in our effectiveness with our clients, it would show up in our customer satisfaction because I wasn't there to drive the ship. And it wasn't until I began to get outside counsel from professional consulting and those types of scenarios that things started to change. I started to manage my time better, and my companies began to run better. In fact, they began to run better to a point where I was so inspired that in 2004 I started my own company, teaching other people to do the exact same thing. But I wanted to make it different, and this is what makes us different. I don't want to be in your company for an unspecified period of time. I don't want to be in there for a year or a year and a half and dealing with every bit of your day-to-day operations. That's not the type of company that we are. What we sent you that invitation for is because we have now looked at your company, we've looked at your industry, we've worked long enough in your industry where it takes us about 90 days to optimize a company. Go in, see what needs to be done, create the documentation, create the training, administer the training, and for that company to start to turn around and see those profits that they're missing. That's really the bottom line of what we do, and we do it in a very concise period of time so that you're not spending your resources on us or still wondering what's happening. We do what we do, we give you the documentation, we give you the training, we administer it so everybody's on the same page, we get out. What happens after that is that should you have the same situation that I just described, someone has to, one of your top performers has to exit the company for whatever the reason may be unexpectedly, you're now not in a position where you're losing revenue because you really don't have anybody else qualified or with enough head knowledge or the ability to get that knowledge to maintain that type of performance or that type of productivity that you were getting from your top performer. We eliminate that. That is what ProfitDRIVE, that is what Profit Gold Consulting is all about. Actually going in and creating those best practices, adding to those best practices what we know works, and then implementing it into your company. Once we've done that, hands off, we give you everything that we've created, you're free to go. It matches the vision you had for the company when you first began, and now you're running more efficiently. Chances are you received a statistic from us that said you're losing 40 to 50% of your potential profits. The reason that I wanted to post that and the reason that I gave that to you in the letter I sent is because I wanted you to realize that the issues that are running within the companies in your industry isn't something that we're creating out of thin air. Those, you can see that those are studies done by people who are not affiliated with us at all. They're just presenting the facts. And so what we do as a company is we go after those industries and say, okay, well, why are you losing 40 to 50% of your profits? Okay, what needs to happen in a very concise, quick way to resolve that? Once we get that answer, we systematize it, we put it into a 90-day package, and then we reach out to find people like you. So if you like the sound of that, then the only thing I'm asking you to do is just give me an opportunity to speak with you. In that letter, I gave you a link to my calendar, which you can make an appointment with me at any time that's most convenient for you. We'll have a 15-minute phone call, make sure that we are aligned in the direction we want to go, and then I'll come down to your office at a time, again, convenient for you, and we'll see what we need to do to get to work. It's really that simple. Doesn't cost you anything at all, just a little bit of your time to see what needs to happen to reclaim that 40 to 50% profit loss that your entire industry is experiencing. So it's definitely a win-win for both of us, and I definitely look forward to hearing from you. I'm glad you took these 8 minutes to hear what I had to say. And the next step is let's go ahead and have a brief conversation. Let's see where we can provide the value. If you think that you're running 90% of the profitability that's on the table for you and your clients, that's great. Take the 40 to 50% that's on the table for the other companies that are missing it. There's always things we can do to improve our companies. So with that being said, I look forward to hearing from you, and we will speak soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.